Today we're going to take a look at some of the different accessibility tools for people with low mobility that Microsoft suggests to use for their Windows applications. So first things first, we're going to turn on high contrast and see what that looks like. So left shift print screen. Yes. Let's turn it on. All right, so it looks like everything is much different. It makes it much easier to see what you're clicking on. I know that in settings, you can also switch it. If you go to accessibility, contrast themes, there are multiple different contrast themes. So right now, it looks like night sky is the one that's on. But there are other options if this one doesn't work for you for whatever reason. So let's go ahead and turn that off. All right. Next, we're going to change the size of texts, apps, and other items. System display, and scale. So it looks like we can change the display of a lot of different things, like text size. I'm not necessarily going to apply that, but it's nice to see that you can change the text size. Let's go back to system display. I think that the most useful one out of all of these would be changing the size of, for instance, like the buttons that you can click on. So custom scaling, you shouldn't change these settings unless you need to. It can cause text and apps to become unreadable. All your displays will be set to the custom scaling size you enter, and it can be difficult to go back to your original settings. So I'm not necessarily going to change it, but it is good to know that you can change it and that it's an option. It's also good to know that changing it can make some things unreadable. That seems like a big flaw in the accessibility system. And then one last thing, let's take a look at the on-screen keyboard. On-screen keyboard. Now, I have used an on-screen keyboard before. I've had a computer that stopped working with the keyboard, so I started using the on-screen keyboard. So why don't we pop open a Microsoft Word document, or actually let's type in a Google search. Let's search assistive technology. Now, this is definitely something that is doable, but it's not nearly as easy as for me as using a regular keyboard. However, it's definitely something that someone who struggles with using a keyboard but could easily use a mouse would be able to use. It would just be a little bit slower for them. Another issue I think I would run into is that I can't Alt-Shift and anything. So all of the things that I was using to look at things before, you can't use with the on-screen keyboard necessarily, unless there's a way to do it, and I just don't know what it is. I guess options help and fade might give us... Oh, look at that. There's lots of different options. Show keys to make it easier. Click on keys, hover over keys. Scan through keys, use text prediction. All right, so there's a lot of different options that you can use for the keyboard. Let's cancel for now. All right, well, that was a quick look at all of the different accessibility features for people with low mobility available in Windows.